Hi everyone, this is the Stabcast on the rise of Napoleon. Sounds like it's going to be a good time. I promise it will. Let's watch. That's right, I'm back. The essential question for this particular Stabcast is, what actions did Napoleon take that led to his rise as a leader? Okay, because this is all about Napoleon taking over and becoming pretty much an absolute monarch in France. So let's see how that happens. And there we go. Alright, so Napoleon is going to get power because he has a reputation of being a military hero. Again, like we said in class, not entirely true, but he is a pretty good leader. Alright, the Directory, which is in charge of the French government, is going to start to lose control. I should fix this camera a little bit. Is going to start losing control of France, and they're going to turn to Napoleon basically to be in charge of the army and back them up. That kind of backfires a little bit because Napoleon is going to plan a coup. A coup is a military takeover of the government, and guess what? He's going to take the army that they put him in charge of and overthrow the Directory. Ha ha, suckers. Alright, so he throws the coup and is named consul, which basically means he's a military dictator. Cool for him. Not so cool for everyone else. Alright, so Napoleon's going to rule France. The people really need a strong leader because France is a complete disaster. So they're going to turn to Napoleon. And Napoleon is going to kind of plan out a new constitution. And that new constitution is going to give all real government power to, wait for it, Napoleon, and that's how Napoleon's going to start to gain power. Alright? He does a couple good things once he takes over, and those things are Napoleon's reforms. And there's going to be three really major areas that Napoleon is going to have reforms in. The first one is the area of economics. France's economy is, shall we say, not very good. And by not very good, I mean really, really, really bad. So, what Napoleon's going to do is set up a national bank to give loans to businesses. How is that going to help France's economy? Well, what ends up happening is because the banks are going to loan money out to businesses and they're going to collect interest, the government's going to get money, businesses are going to get money that they need to invest and, make improvements. So, everyone wins right there. He's also going to set up a fairer tax code. If you remember, the tax burden was pretty much entirely on the third estate. That's not going to be the case anymore. Now everyone is going to pay sort of a fair amount of taxes. Where I last left off, I was talking about the fair tax code. That's, by the way, going to seem really creepy on camera. I had to pause it because there was something going on with the camera. It's better now. Yeah, I think it's better now. So anyway, he's also going to stabilize the currency. France's money was worthless because the government was such a mess that nobody really knew what was going to happen, so nobody wanted French money. And he's going to kind of settle that and make France's money worth money again. So, good for Napoleon. Back pat. Alright, he's also going to fix some of the problems with the government. There are a lot of corrupt government officials who are stealing from the government. He's going to hire people not because they're part of the nobility, but because they actually know how to do the job that they've been hired for. So that's going to be a good thing. He's also going to set up what's known as a lycée, which is a government-run school. So he has the sort of first system of public schools. He's also going to create the Napoleonic Code. France's laws needed to be redone. He creates a new set of laws. All right. If you remember, a code is a written down series of laws. Napoleon's going to create a new set of laws for France. Name it after himself. Call it the Napoleonic Code. Beautiful thing. All right. The Napoleonic Code sets up a uniform system of laws. So basically, everyone in France is going to be subject to the same laws. It does get rid of some of the problems with the laws, but it's also going to get rid of some rights that people had gained during the Revolution. For example, the French Revolution was all about protecting natural rights and everyone having freedom. The Napoleonic Code is not really about that. The Napoleonic Code is about the government, okay? and giving centralized power to the government. Also, women who had gained some rights during the revolution, sorry ladies, those are all gone. The freedom of speech and freedom of the press are restricted, and Voltaire rolls over in his grave. And slavery, which had been eliminated in France and France's colonies as a result of the Enlightenment ideas sort of not believing in slavery, guess what? If you're a slave in one of those French Caribbean colonies, like Haiti, for example, you had been freed, and guess what? Now you're a slave again. We'll see in the next chapter how that works. I'll give you a hint. It doesn't. But yeah, they try to re-enslave some of the freed Haitian slaves. Just a silly plan. All right. Religiously, Napoleon's going to go to the Pope and say, hey, listen, Pope, we're going to work together, but you're going to give up a lot of your power. And the Pope is kind of on board with that, and the Catholic Church is going to lose a lot of the power it had in France, and the Church is no longer going to have any control over national affairs. So, win for Napoleon, he's centralizing power. All right. And then he crowns himself emperor. He actually gets voted emperor, and pretty much what happened was he put it to France. Who do you want to be emperor? Check this box for Napoleon. And there was no one else who was eligible. So Napoleon got all the votes. All right. That's known as a plebiscite. A plebiscite is a vote of the people. And the scene is as such. Okay. Normally, the person who would crown you emperor would be the Pope, thus signifying that God has made it okay for you to be the ruler. So Napoleon invites the Pope to come crown him. And he's about to be crowned by the Pope. The Pope has the crown in his hand, and Napoleon says, "Thank you," takes the crown from the Pope's hands and puts it on his own head, just signifying that he is more powerful than the Pope, and thus is more powerful than God. And now Napoleon is emperor, and congratulations, France has a new absolute monarch. The revolution has come full circle. And that circle is not going to end yet. All right. So once Napoleon takes over France, he's going to set about creating an empire, because if a little France is good, a lot of France is better. All right. And he's going to try to reconquer Saint Dominique. That would be one of those colonies in the Caribbean. Once he realizes that that's not going to work, he's like, you know what? I don't need to have an empire in the New World. In the Americas, I'm done. The Louisiana Territory, which is, now part of the United States, Napoleon's going to go to Thomas Jefferson and say, hey, listen, we got all this extra land in Louisiana. You want it? Because we don't. And he sells it to the United States for fairly cheap. And Napoleon's going to take that money and start a bunch of wars in Europe. All right? And he has pretty good success, conquers most of Europe. The one big part that he does not conquer is Russia. And he also decides to start a naval battle with Britain. That's not going to go well for him either. At the Battle of Trafalgar, his navy is completely defeated. He gives up on invading Britain, and he turns his attention on Russia, which, as we'll see in the next Stabcast, is not going to end well for him. But he does try. So, good try, Napoleon. But you don't get an A for effort. But again, he conquers most of Europe, either through conquest, creating alliances, or just threatening to go and take them over. He actually invades Spain, which is their next door neighbor, and pretty much makes a deal that his brother will get to be king of Spain, and he agrees not to take it over outright, and the Spanish people are like, okay, fine, whatever. But most people around Europe, after they get taken over by Napoleon, are actually going to become more loyal to their countries, and this is going to be the beginning of what's known as nationalism. People are going to start to see themselves as citizens of the country that they live in, and that's going to be really important for the sort of future of Europe. The empire is very large, but it's really unstable. All right, it's pretty much a balloon that has gotten too much air, it could pop at any minute, and that's really what's going to happen, because Napoleon's not going to be able to maintain such a large empire. It grew too big too quickly. All right, that's the end of that. So I hope you learned a lot about Napoleon. If you didn't learn a lot about Napoleon, watch the video again. That's why it's on YouTube. All right, guys, have a lovely day. I will see you when I see you.